It's late in the day. You skipped lunch. At first, nothing feels unusual, but slowly, something begins to change. Your focus becomes weaker. Small problems start to feel more frustrating. Your patience becomes shorter. Even simple decisions feel harder. Many people describe this feeling as being hangry. But this experience is not just psychological. It is biological, because hunger doesn't only affect the stomach, it directly changes how the brain operates. But why would a lack of food influence your thoughts, attention, and emotions? To understand this, we need to look at how the brain fuels itself. The human brain depends heavily on glucose. Glucose is a form of sugar circulating in the bloodstream, and it serves as the brain's primary fuel source. Unlike muscles, which can store energy in the form of glycogen, the brain has almost no internal energy reserves. It relies on a continuous supply of glucose from the bloodstream. When you eat, carbohydrates are broken down into glucose. This glucose enters the bloodstream and is delivered to cells throughout the body. The brain receives a steady supply through a network of blood vessels. But here's where it gets interesting. When blood glucose levels begin to fall, the brain quickly detects the change. Specialized neurons in the hypothalamus monitor energy availability in the body. The hypothalamus acts as a central regulator for hunger, metabolism, and energy balance. When glucose levels drop, these neurons send signals throughout the brain. They activate systems designed to restore energy balance. But the brain doesn't stop there. Hormones begin to change as well. One of the most important hormones involved in hunger is ghrelin. Ghrelin is often called the hunger hormone. When the stomach is empty, ghrelin levels increase. This hormone travels through the bloodstream and signals the brain that the body needs food. Ghrelin also influences attention systems. It can make food-related signals more noticeable. Suddenly, smells of food become stronger. Images of food capture your attention more easily. Your brain is prioritizing the search for energy. But the brain does something even more fascinating. When energy availability decreases, the brain begins reallocating its resources. Certain systems become less active. Other systems become more focused. For example, complex cognitive processes in the prefrontal cortex may become less efficient when glucose availability drops. This can affect planning, emotional regulation, and impulse control. At the same time, more primitive survival systems may become more active. This shift can make emotional reactions stronger and patience weaker. And this leads to an unexpected effect. When people are hungry, they may feel more irritable or reactive. Not because they are choosing to be, but because the brain is adjusting its priorities. Energy is being redirected toward essential survival systems. But from an evolutionary perspective, this response is extremely useful. When food was scarce, the brain needed to increase motivation to find it. Heightened sensitivity to food signals helped early humans detect potential energy sources in the environment. At the same time, the brain temporarily reduced non-essential processes. This allowed more energy to be directed toward survival. But in modern environments, these ancient systems still operate. Even though food is usually available, the brain continues monitoring energy levels closely. When glucose drops, the brain responds quickly. Attention shifts, motivation changes, emotions may intensify. Once you understand this system, something important becomes clear. The mental changes that occur during hunger are not a lack of discipline. They are the result of biological systems regulating energy. Your brain is constantly balancing fuel supply with cognitive demand. And when energy becomes scarce, the brain adjusts its behavior accordingly. By the way, if you're interested in understanding how the brain and body actually work, this channel explores the science behind those systems. Many everyday experiences become easier to understand once we examine the biological mechanisms behind them. And the brain's response to hunger is one of the clearest examples. Your thoughts, emotions, and decisions are deeply connected to the body's energy systems. Because the brain is not separate from the body. It is one of its most energy-dependent organs. Vera Human explains the science behind how the human system works. Subscribe if you're curious about the biology of being human.